Aloha and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on This Is Now. We are tracking several top stories, including Election Day in America. Millions have already cast their votes at polling sites across the nation. And of course, all eyes are on the presidential race as we await the results and find out who comes out on top in those all-important swing states. And back here at home, we are tracking some severe weather that hit Hawaii Island especially hard overnight. We will have the latest on your forecast coming up in just a few moments. Aloha, I'm Dylan Ancheta. Thank you so much for joining us here. Let's get right to your first alert weather. Here joining me in the digital center is our Drew Davis with the latest. Drew?
Hey, thanks Dylan for having me in this morning. We are tracking some rainfall across the state as we continue to go throughout this afternoon. The flood watch is still up for Maui County and the island of Maui and the Big Island. I want to show you what we're expecting. It's also a first alert weather day. This is going to continue until that flood watch comes down. We're tracking periods and pockets of heavy Melco rainfall and over windward areas as well. We'll get to our first alert radar and satellite in just a little bit because we are seeing some showers over the leeward parts of Oahu. We've got a flood watch up for Maui and the Big Island. Isolated thunderstorms are still possible throughout this evening and through Wednesday as well. And we're also tracking a northwest swell that was dropping. If you remember over the weekend, we had high surf advisories up on northwest facing shore. So taking a look at our first alert radar and satellite, you can see a little bit of green out there. This is over the last 4 hours, but I want to take you island by island and give you a view of what we've been seeing over the last hour. So let's go over to the Big Island. Not much rainfall over there compared to what we were seeing yesterday. Thunderstorms over Volcano yesterday, relatively dry right now. Moving up to Maui County, we're seeing some sprinkles over Lanai, even a shower getting started right there over the island of Lanai over the last hour. Then moving over to Oahu. That's where we've been seeing the most rainfall today. We've been seeing some thunderstorms this morning in town, and right now a lot of the rainfall is over the leeward parts of the island and moving up towards the north shore. Wahiawa is seeing some showers, even though they're dissipating, some heavy rainfall coming down as well. And of course, we've seen some rainfall over near Eva Beach as well earlier today, but this has started to quiet down. These showers are still possible throughout the rest of this afternoon. And of course, we could see some thunderstorms as we're going into this evening. The flood watch for Maui County and the Big Island will likely end at 6 p.m. today. That's what the time the National Weather Service gave. We're also seeing some showers over the windward parts, relatively sprinkly, some sprinkles, as Billy V and Guy like to call it, a couple of drizzles out there. And over on Kauai, it's relatively quiet as well. Taking a look at what we're expecting going forward, we've got a chance for rainfall throughout the next couple of days. Of course, we are tracking a weak cold front that's going to be approaching from the northwest. This cold front is going to bring another chance for showers, and behind it, this cold front will bring us breezy trades and wet trade winds. This is Thursday. The cold front is expected to stall between Maui County and the Big Island sometimes Wednesday evening, and then will continue to bring us wet trade winds as we're going forward. Here's a quick look at your surf conditions. Like I said, north and west facing shores are on the decline. North facing shores around 5 to 7 feet. Today is the first alert weather day. We're going to be tracking it online, on air, and on the H&N First Alert Weather app.
Taking a look now at some of the severe flooding on Hawaii Island, this is what it looked like in Orchidland yesterday. Civil Defense reported a total of 14 roads were closed on Hawaii Island due to deteriorating conditions, and shelters were opened at the Kea'au Armory, the Robert N. Herkes Gym in Pahala, and the Na'alehu Community Center. And take a closer look, that's the roof of a vehicle underwater in Puna's Eden Rock neighborhood yesterday. Thankfully, there were no reports of any serious injuries. Elsewhere in Hilo, this is what nearly a foot of rain looks like on Hawaii Island. As always during heavy rains, Waianuenue Falls was pumping after the Wailuku River hit flood stage, going from 4 feet Monday morning to 18 feet by sundown last night. And that wasn't all. Hawaii Island residents felt a jolt early this morning. That's the result of an earthquake just outside of Pahala. The 4.8 magnitude quake shook the area just after 1:40 a.m. and was centered about 3 miles southwest of the town. Officials say it's part of an ongoing swarm of activity that's been happening since 2019. Now, hundreds of residents filed reports with the USGS that they felt the quake, with some reports coming in as far away as Oahu. Aftershocks may be possible in the coming days. It doesn't appear there was any impact on either Kilauea or Mauna Loa. Be sure to stay with your First Alert weather station for all the latest conditions in your neighborhood. And of course, today is election day here in Hawaii and across the nation as millions of voters take to the polls and submit their ballots. CBS's Christian Benavides kicks off our team coverage in Atlanta with more.
Across the country, Americans are exercising their right to vote. The latest CBS News polls show Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump basically tied in 7 key battleground states.
We do apologize for the audio errors in this story. We will try our very best to fix that and bring this story to you as soon as we can. Let's go ahead and move on to our latest in election coverage.
Trump and his running mate will ride out the night at Mar-a-Lago, while Harris and her VP pick will be at her alma mater, Howard University, in Washington, D.C. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
And taking a look at some of the early polls here in Hawaii, our Casey Lund spent the morning at Kapolei Hale and filed this report.
Doors at both service centers, Honolulu Hale and Kapolei Hale, where I am here, opened at 7 a.m. with big crowds of folks standing in the pouring rain to cast their vote in person. We wanted to talk to some of those Election Day voters about why.
Rain or shine.
Why is that important to you?
Because I want to be a part of history and I want to show the younger generations that it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, rain or shine, we're still going to be here.
I couldn't find my mail-in ballot. It got lost somewhere on my dining room table. And so I said, no, I have to vote. I was thinking, well, you know, maybe it won't count. But then I thought, no, I have that right. I should come out and vote.
I just didn't get registered in time. That's really as simple as that. So this is the closest option for me, even though, mailing in would have been a little more convenient. I just didn't prepare in time. So very thankful that this is open, even though it's not particularly ideal conditions. It's better than nothing.
I just want to do an old-fashioned, authentic way, yeah.
And why is that?
It just feels a little bit better, more secure for me.
Skepticism still exists among some Hawaii voters about the mail-in system election officials encourage people to take advantage of. This despite attempts by those officials to show transparency throughout the process. Rex Cadilla is with the Office of Elections and says if you do choose to vote in person, there are some ways to reduce the amount of time you'll have to spend here.
If you are coming to the service center, you have a Hawaii State driver's license or Hawaii ID, register to vote online before you come or check your voter registration. It's olvr.hawaii.gov. Look up, put in your credentials, check to see if your voter registration is current. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote. It'll get you through this line a little quicker.
Among the voters I talked to today, their reason for voting in person vary just as much as their motivations for voting at all.
What are kind of some of the things that are kind of motivating you to vote? Is it, social issues, the economy?
Yeah. To me, it was like wars. Getting to the wars, the world wars going on, and I'm trying to avoid any of that. We want peace in the world.
I think the biggest thing is actually just to show my kids that being a part of history and showing what it means to stand with a voice, whether it be in line or on a ballot, it's just to show people that I care. And I care about the issues. I'm not going to say which way I'm going to vote, but it's just caring about the issues overall.
A reminder that you have until 7 p.m. to get in line if you want to register to vote and vote in person on Election Day. Of course, you can drop your ballots in the ballot drop box across the island until 7 p.m. as well. A reminder from election officials that if you can, try to register to vote online before coming down here. That will save you quite a bit of time. Reporting at Kapolei Hale, I'm Casey Lund, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you so much, Casey. And we do have that second story in now. I want to go ahead and provide that story for you folks because we had some earlier audio issues. And so this is Christian Benavides covering polling places across the nation.
Across the country, Americans are exercising their right to vote.
I want my vote counted, and so that's why I'm out at 7 o'clock in the morning.
The most important thing we have is to vote.
The latest CBS News polls show Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump basically tied in 7 key battleground states.
If you were on the fence, you hadn't really been paying attention. Think of it. This is it. This is the last one that we're going to have to do.
Trump cast his own vote in Florida today.
I ran a great campaign. I think it was maybe the best of the three.
Harris already mailed in her ballot.
It is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
More than 81 million Americans have already cast their ballot before Election Day. Here in Georgia, they saw record early voting turnout. Many voters are ready to put an end to the tumultuous campaign cycle.
Once the votes are cleared, we can I feel like everybody can kind of move forward because I feel like a lot of people stop.
Whoever wins, we're all Americans, so yeah, got to support them.
Trump and his running mate will ride out the night at Mar-a-Lago, while Harris and her VP pick will be at her alma mater, Howard University in Washington, D.C. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
And we also have an update from local election officials. They say voting times at Hawaii polls here on Oahu range anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. This is at both Honolulu Hale and Kapolei Hale. So once again, the line is moving, but it is still early in the day. So if you have not dropped in your ballots yet to those drop boxes, you still have time. The deadline is 7 o'clock. It is a hard deadline. If you want to cast your vote in person, you have to be in line by 7 p.m. in order to do so. Turning now to Nicole Scango, who has more on election security across the nation.
Business after business boarded up, the U.S. Secret Service has stood up an anti-scaling fence, a ring of steel surrounding the White House, 8 feet tall, and similar security measures are in place at both candidates' election night headquarters, plus platoons of tactical teams, drones, and counter-surveillance technology. It's an election week security posture that extends beyond just the nation's capital. Today, dozens of National Guardsmen will deploy in at least 6 states, plus Washington, D.C. On top of that, hundreds more are on standby. One big concern for law enforcement, ensuring those political battlegrounds don't become actual ones, as the Philadelphia district attorney made clear yesterday.
Anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out.
And online, the white supremacist group, the Proud Boys, have warned they are locked, loaded, and ready for treasonous voter fraud. Meanwhile, the Russian-backed disinformation firestorm continues, with U.S. intelligence officials warning late last night that Moscow is manufacturing fake news stories and laundering them across social media platforms. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Washington.
A Pennsylvania judge ruled Monday that Elon Musk's America PAC can keep writing checks to voters. The judge declined an effort by the Philadelphia district attorney to stop the PAC from giving out cash prizes to registered voters. Meanwhile, the PAC will be able to do one last giveaway today, which is the last day of the offer. The America PAC advertised it as a lottery-style giveaway that promised payments, some totaling $1 million, to select voters who signed a political pledge in swing states. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner sued Musk and America PAC last month, alleging that the giveaways were an illegal, unregulated lottery. However, America PAC attorney Chris Gober said it wasn't a lottery because winners aren't determined by chance. According to Gober, the PAC picks winners who effectively serve as spokespeople, and they earn $1 million for doing so. Musk's lawyers defended the effort as free speech. Attorney John Summers argued on behalf of the city in his closing argument, saying it's one of the great scams of the last 50 years. The civil lawsuit does not preclude the state from pursuing criminal charges against Musk or America PAC in the future. Well, more than just Americans are keeping a close eye on the results of the election. Internationally, allies, along with people living in conflict zones,
to see Donald Trump back in the Oval Office.
Trump will do a lot of stuff also to put an end to the war and to bring back the hostages alive.
I'm not very strong supportive of Kamala, but I'm really afraid of Trump.
Still, nearly 2/3 of Israelis polled by the Israel Democracy Institute believe the former president is better for Israel's interests, with just 13% siding with Vice President Kamala Harris.
I would like to see Donald Trump winning.
I think I would choose Kamala Harris because I think Trump is really crazy.
The sentiment in Gaza is less focused on who will win. This woman living in the rubble expressed what many Palestinians feel. They just want the war to end. Others are doubtful a changing U.S. leadership will change their situation.
For me, Republican or Democrats are the same thing. They are two faces for the same coin.
Back in Israel, more than a year after Hamas's brutal terror attacks, families of hostages hope a new U.S. administration will bring a fresh look at negotiations to bring their loved ones home. Leah Mishkin, CBS News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today dismissed his popular defense minister Yoav Gallant in a surprise announcement that came as the country is embroiled in wars in multiple fronts across the region. Netanyahu and Gallant have repeatedly been at odds over the war in Gaza, but Netanyahu had avoided firing him. Netanyahu cited significant gaps and a crisis of trust between the men in his Tuesday evening announcement. They showed a unified front at the start of the war, but differences soon emerged. While Netanyahu has called for continued military pressure on Hamas, Gallant has taken a more pragmatic approach. Gallant will be replaced by Foreign Minister Israel Katz, a Netanyahu loyalist and veteran cabinet minister who was a junior officer in the military. Taking a look at local news, a 39-year-old man is recovering after he was stabbed multiple times. Here's what we learned overnight. It happened in downtown Honolulu on South Hotel Street near Union Mall just after 5 p.m. yesterday. We're told the man's wounds were to his upper body, with EMS officials calling them extensive. He was rushed to the hospital in serious condition. No word on a possible suspect or what led up to the violence. We'll keep an eye out for any updates on this story. Nearly 6 years after an infant died from an antihistamine overdose, the manslaughter trial has begun for the former babysitter Dixie Villa. Arlen Kawano reports from Circuit Court.
120 potential jurors showed up for court Monday morning. Both sides are working to whittle that down to 12 jurors plus 3 alternates.
Abigail Lobish died in February of 2019 on the Aliamano Military Reservation. After more than a dozen delays, trial for the 7-month-old's babysitter is finally underway.
5 years is a really, really long time. To ask grieving families to wait that long before their cases get to be heard, I mean, it's just really excruciating.
Dixie Villa is accused of manslaughter for allegedly giving the toddler a fatal dose of diphenhydramine, often called Benadryl, which was found in the toddler's blood and urine. The medicine is not recommended for children under the age of 6. Some of the delays were due to COVID closures and unavailable witnesses. It has all weighed on the family.
It would take a toll on any one of us who lost a loved one in such a tragic way, and then having to wait this long. You know, they've had to go on and live their day-to-day lives for 5 years without being able to get justice. And that's not okay. But at least with this trial, you know, they'll be able to move forward. They'll be able to get answers.
Because Tuesday is the Election Day holiday, the trial will continue on Wednesday with opening statements.
Court TV will be covering this case from opening statements till the verdict. Even though it's been nearly 6 years, there is still a lot of interest in the case. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Yesterday, Hilton Hawaiian Village's 1,800 workers voted to ratify a new contract with the hotel, which brings to an end a 40-day strike. We're told all workers resumed their schedules today. The union says more than 3,200 Local 5 members at 7 other hotels are still working without a contract and could strike at any time. And over on Maui, about 900 employees at 3 Maui County hospitals began a 3-day strike yesterday. Nurses, pharmacists, imaging technicians, and other healthcare workers walked off the job at Maui Memorial Medical Center, Kula Hospital, and Lanai Community Hospital. The hospital group, Maui Health, says it's offering an 18% wage hike over 4 years, but the picketing workers say they also want management to hire more staff.
There's a moral injury that's caused from nurses when we can't take care of our patients. Because I got into it to help people, and if we can't help people because we don't have the resources we need, it's it's really hard to live with yourself.
Striking employees plan to return to work on Thursday. Maui Health says all the hospitals are open and a temporary workforce will provide patient care with no disruptions. Negotiations are set to resume on November 14th. Let's send you live right now to Maricopa County, Arizona. As you can see, ballot counting is underway. This county set up a live camera in their ballot counting to increase transparency. We'll have more local news and other stories coming up after this short break. Stay with us. In today's news from the feeds, we're going back to the topic of elections and highlighting one poll worker in Southern California. She's being recognized for her many years of dedicated service. The 85-year-old woman has been working the polls for 22 years and says it never gets old. Erin Dickens has more on her motivation.
Burma Dunn has been working the polls for 22 years. She is 85 years old, and she says doing this never gets old.
Because my parents did it. I made my first political speech when I was 14.
Burma registered to vote when she was 21. She is originally from Alabama.
You have to print your name and sign it.
The Chula Vista resident first became a poll worker in 2002.
Because I think people should be involved in their community and work. And then we come over here and we have a card that we put in to activate this.
What do you think about this election year?
I think this is a year that everybody should pay attention and vote.
Why is that?
Because there's so many controversies on different things.
Burma works at this polling site near her house. And they do something special here for first-time voters. They give them a big round of applause. Dunn says it wasn't her idea, but she's continuing the tradition.
If you're voting in person sometime, bring the children. I asked if they're going to tell me sometime that I'm too old to do it, and they said, no, you have to tell us that you can't, that you don't want to do it anymore.
I love that.
But I like doing it.
Yeah. In Chula Vista, Erin Dickens, ABC 10 News.
And in today's good news now, we all know it's election day, but it's also National Donut Day. This is the second of 2 days this year that celebrates this sweet treat. The origins of the donut are in dispute. Some say Dutch settlers introduced them to the U.S. The spelling can also be a point of contention, as there are two options. Both start with a D and end with nut, but what about the middle? the whole of the donut, if you will? Is it O or O-U-G-H? Well, the latter is more traditional, but both are commonly used. Whatever the spellings are, the result is the same. Delicious. Enjoy your favorite donut today and post about it on social media using the hashtag National Donut Day. Happy National Donut Day indeed. And let's end today's show with a live look at the White House. Be sure to stick with Hawaii News Now. We will be providing updates live from the Digital Center every 30 minutes starting just before 2:30 this afternoon. Mahalo and thank you for watching. Have a great election day. Aloha.